Let's come back to the UK. And of course, we have a new health secretary. So let's bring her on screen here. She is Victoria Atkins. Well, here's her arriving at the Department of Health. And look who has decided to meet her, Debbie.
Oh, please, could you have done a spoiler warning before that? Professor Chris Whitty.
So what's your thoughts on her?
My thoughts, let's have a look at Victoria Atkins. So let me tell you a little bit about Victoria Atkins. So out goes the divisive solicitor, Steve Barclay, who was also CEO of Barclays Bank. And in comes Victoria Atkins, who is a barrister, and her area of expertise was fraud. But she was involved in a little bit of a controversy back in 2018 when she was working for the Home Office, because her husband was CEO of a company called British Sugar, which was licensed to produce legal cannabis in the UK. So she had to recuse herself from all of that. Her husband there, you can see Paul Kenward. And it's ironic, really, because Victoria Atkins is also diabetic. She was diagnosed as diabetic. And her husband is literally into everything sugar related. So she can't really talk about sugar. And she can't really talk about cannabis either, because her husband was, and I say was, CEO of British Sugar. Because when I went to Companies House, and he is director of many, many companies, but when I went to look at British Sugar, I found that he'd resigned just very recently on the 4th of November. Now that in itself throws up a lot of questions as to what did they know and how long has this been planned. She's also very pro pharmaceutical interventions. She's very clued up on using pharmacies as safe space for domestic abusers, but she doesn't seem to be able to speak about sugar, although she lives off her husband's income, obviously, which is sugar. She can't speak about cannabis because her husband was producing legal cannabis that was being used for children with epilepsy, so pharmaceuticals. And when she was asked a question about police, this might interest Charles, she got a little stumped on that as well. Let's look back and see or hear Victoria Atkins talking to LBC Radio.
But you'll be aware of the number of police officers we have in the country at this time, won't you?
Yes, I think. Well, I know in London it's around about 31,000 officers.
Right, but the whole of the country, you'll be aware of the figure, won't you, Minister?
It's... you're testing me, Nick. I'm so sorry. It's... I'm not going to hazard a guess. I'm just going to front up and say I'm so sorry that number's slipped my mind.
You are
I do
a Home Office
apologise.
Minister. Wouldn't it be a good idea to have the figures?
It would be, Nick.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's 123,142.
Oops. And do you trust her with your life in her hands? Personally, I don't.
Yes, good question. Good question. Okay, thank you, Debbie.